All right. So today I'm going to try all my best. I'm trying to explain what is Git conflict, and everyone has some problems with Git conflict probably. And I'm trying to explain why. If I'll need to check my code. When people make different changes on the same line of the same folder on code, and it might get a conflict in the future when you send a pull request on the GitHub. And we're all aware of the, how many of you had a conflict before? Okay, so good. Probably you need how to sort it out, but anyway, I need to just brief example. And what are we going to do? We have a team repository. We are working on as a team, for example, 5 of us, 6 of us, and we forked our the base repository, and after that point, when we start to working on it, our command is like git fetch upstream. And why do we use upstream? Does anyone know?
It's the main repository?
Yeah, because we forked and this is the main repository. We would like to get all code. And then if it's not working, normally I'm trying to present you a current conflict file, but it didn't work, so I'm going to show you something else. Git checkout master, and then what we are typing, git rebase upstream to master, to make sure that we are on the same level of the code. Now it's not working, just I'm trying typing, and then you can assume something. And yeah, why don't we use pull and why do we use fetch? Does anyone know? Or what's the difference between pull and, do you know? Or okay, I can rephrase it question. What's the difference between pull and fetch?
I don't know the difference. I tried rebase before, I tried fetch before, fetch didn't work, but pull worked, and then I stopped the pull. I always use pull now.
Okay.
I think pull deletes wherever you have logon and puts whatever is in the upstream, no?
Pull.
Fetch, what it does is try to merge somehow. I don't know.
The opposite. When you type fetch, you can get all data, but when you type pull, it's being merged. You can, for example, if there is a conflict, you can get the conflict file as well. Yeah. And then, for example, you fetched all data and then you change something like gray, sorry. Okay. And you did something and you like to, you've done, and what else? Now the second step is, when you finished to working on it, you said git add, git commit, sorry. That's okay. For example, what was, and then title, change, let's say. And after that point, you need to send to GitHub while git push. It won't work for now, just let's assume. And then we send our stuff to GitHub. And after that point, we are on the local master. We need to send the pull request to the normal base repository. And you know how to send a pull request. When you send a pull request and some of your colleagues, let's assume that one of your colleagues changed the line number 8 as well, and GitHub will confuse which one should I choose. And after that point, there's a conflict. And how can you save the conflict? There's a two-way that you can deal with it, locally and also on GitHub. But don't use GitHub because it might be confusing in the future because you can't see the differences between code or something like that, and it's being merged to master, and then it's better to solve that issue locally. And if you see, for example, this is automatically merged, this per pull request or something like that, you need to fetch the data again. And so, for example, let's assume that there is a conflict file. What are you doing? It's again git fetch upstream, then git checkout master, then git rebase upstream master, and you will see not that one, but that one. And there is the same line, but there is two different code. You can choose whatever you want. For example, let's assume that one of your colleagues did better work for you, and then you can choose that one or that one. It's up to you. And after that point, when you accept current changes like this, or for example, incoming changes, you can choose. And let's go back to, and then you deal with the code. Again, what are you going to do? Git add, because the code has changed. Git commit as well again. For example, conflict resolved. Then you need to push again. And that point, you need to send a pull request, and one of your colleagues will just accept it, and there is no conflict at all. But if you, I'm gonna show you how can you resolve on the GitHub. I'm not suggesting you, just I want to show you. And you can see this branch has conflict that must be resolved. And when you type resolve conflict, you will see the changes like Visual Studio Code. But in Visual Studio Code, you can type npm start, and you can change, or you can do whatever you want. And you can type mark as result. You can see the code, but it's been merged. That's why most of experienced developer won't suggest to solve the GitHub. You need to solve locally. It's better to solve locally, they said. Yeah, I don't know. We are on the my level. Let me check. And yes, if you don't want to, how can you resolve that issues? After fetching, for example, you haven't started to do anything. You type git fetch, git checkout master, and you get all your code. And it's better to create a new branch, because when you start to working on a master, it will be conflict again. And then if you create a new branch, and then you can just working on it, and then you can send to GitHub and then pull request, it will be safe. Otherwise, you'll have some issues in the future, because let's assume that 10 of people on the same project, they are dealing with the same line or something like that, it will be conflict probably. And it's better to fetch all data regularly. And yeah, this is one conflict example. And the other conflict example is, for example, you are working on the one file, but one of your friends has changed the file structure. But meantime, you were working, you changed, for example, lots of code, but when you send the pull request, there is conflict. The file structure has changed, but at the same time you did a lot of things. And in this point, there is a big conflict, let's say, and then you can't solve locally. You need to deal with your friends and then just sit on the same computer, and then you can, I don't know, arrange which one is the priority, the bunch of code or the file structure, and then you can solve locally, and then one by one you need to talk and deal with it. It's a bit big issues, but you will see this conflict in the future a lot of times probably. And then what else I have? Nothing. Any question?
Can you repeat the best way of resolving conflicts? What was your suggestion?
After fetching all data, like git fetch, rebase, and some stuff, you need to create a new branch. Git branch, and for example, responsive navigation bar, something like that. And you can check out that branch, and you can start with your code, and then you can add, commit, and push in that branch, and then you can send the pull request in that branch to the master branch, the current upstream master, and there is no problem because it's your current branch, and then it's not master, and it won't be any conflict in the future.
So would it be fair to say master is actually where you merge everybody else's code?
Yeah.
And when you're working on a feature, let's say you're working on a header component, then you create a header branch.
Mm-hmm.
And then master is always where all of these things come together because somebody else might be working on CSS.
Yeah. In that case,
and
yeah,
they
then
create a CSS branch and everybody pushes their branch to the master.
Yeah.
And
conflict. Yeah.
and then it merges everything if there is no conflict. But if there is a conflict, it means that you both worked on the same file, right?
Yeah, is a master. So every commit is a master, but if you create a new branch, new feature, so when you finish your stuff, you can merge with master, your branch. So this is amazing.
I get that bit, but if you both worked on your branches, if you both worked on
The same
file,
branch.
yeah,
Same branch and same file.
different branches,
Mm-hmm.
but we change the same line of code, what would happen then?
Don't know.
Would it be possible that two people work on the same branch, and given that everyone creates his own fork, how can that happen?
When you said different branches, but the same line of code changed by two different
You
people.
can work
Two
on the same
branches.
line of code.
And then we just have to decide which one.
You just need to
Yeah.
check your code and check what,
Probably.
which one is the one you wanna keep it, or
Probably,
So
yeah.
you're
I'm
saying
not.
you first create conflict, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I'm not
If there's different
100%.
branches, there will be no conflict because branches are totally separate. The conflict comes when you try and merge those branches into master, which is what we've currently been doing on the TMAP, right? Even if you've got Buket's header and stuff Lucia's got Lucia's header, then when you put them both into master, then that's when the conflict comes, right? In the TMAP master.
Yeah, and then
But-
it will show you what the conflict is. Let's say I make the background color blue, but Gawa make the background color purple.
Yeah,
Then it will show a conflict,
absolutely.
and we would need to decide which
Yeah, you need
background.
to
Yeah.
decide. One will be listed as current change, one will be listed as incoming change. Yeah, the blue and the green highlighting that you've probably seen when you've got a conflict to resolve locally. And then, yeah, you have to decide, right, either in your team or yourself, which one needs to stay. Sometimes you can accept both, right? Sometimes it lets you do that. Maybe you've just used the same line of code and you've changed the background colour on that line, and then Lucia's changed the border on that line. So you actually want both of them kept, right? You want the background colour change and the border colour change, but the conflict was because they both used line 17 as opposed to you doing it on line 15 and Lucia did it on line 20. If that was the case, there would be no conflict because they're using the same line and they're different properties. Then you wanted both, so you can accept both changes as well.
Okay, I see what you mean. But if it's a conflicting change, then we need to decide which one
Yeah.
takes preference.
Any questions? Perfect.